YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and I've noticed that every now and then on my channel I don't know if it's someone new or they just haven't watched all the videos, because it's fine. I mean, if you come watch my videos, it's not like I expect you to watch all of them at that point. There's quite a few of them. But I always get these odd and end comments here and there. People like, "Hey, you never show your losses." I do show, actually, most of the time I show it when I lose. There's some that I don't. But I have a loss for you today, and I know, okay, I gave it away. I'm sorry. I'm going to lose the battle. But hey, that ought to make a lot of you happy, because it almost seems like sometimes some of you are rooting against me. Not in like some kind of malicious way, and I don't care if you are. It's perfectly fine. But, you know, it's like you just want to see me get taken out. Well, I played against Space Jerky here, and he played as Carthage. I played as Syracuse. Syracuse wouldn't normally be my first pick against Carthage, and it's not that Syracuse can't beat Carthage. It's just, I don't know, it's not the faction I'd usually think of to take against Carthage. Syracuse is kind of an odd one, but they're a fun faction. So let's take a look at this battle, and I'm going to give you an example of how, at least I think, you can lose a battle before it even starts. And not because I chose to, but kind of. So I'm always talking to you about army choice. If you look at my army choice here, I've gone infantry strong, expecting a Libyan infantry-based army for my opponent, because typically people bring spears and pikes with Syracuse. Well, my opponent, whether on purpose or not, calls my bluff here with a very, very good counter-army to what I have. His infantry is actually pretty weak, but he's got 3 Libyan peltists, which are a pretty key unit, and he's got 4 Carthaginian cav, an elephant, and 2 mercenary Campanian cav. So his infantry is pretty worthless from a killing standpoint, but from a purpose-served standpoint, it'll do very well. What do you mean by that, Air? Well, let's walk through it. So his African pikemen can easily protect his skirmishers from my cavalry. His elephants remain safe behind the protection of the skirmishers, the skirmishers and the pikes. He's got 1 very strong cav on each flank, and then 2 somewhat medium cav here in these Carthaginian cav. And then he's got a couple of light hoplites on either flank, supported by a couple of mercenary Gallic warriors. So Gallic warriors aren't going to accomplish much in battle, and neither are the Libyan hoplites. But what they can do is help zone out cavalry. And these units they're not like lightning fast, but they're fairly quick because they're light. Now, these Libyan peltists, let's talk about these guys. Why would you choose this more expensive peltist when their missile attack is the same as some of the cheaper ones? That's a question I've heard some of you ask. This is the situation where you want to choose this. Because my opponent, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm putting thoughts into his head. I could be wrong about what his reasoning was. But he's brought elephants and Campanian cav. They can easily do all the killing for him if he can just get into the right situation, i.e. rear charges if I have pikes. Or if it's sword units, these elephants can kill him straight on. So either way, he's got the tools to handle whatever army I'm going to bring. Well, you might be saying, well, Air, if you had a bunch of pikes and a bunch of skirmishers, well, then what? These Libyan peltists don't go down quickly to skirmishers. It takes a lot of ammo, and they can completely approach you, and they won't take massive losses unless you have like 4 to 5 units of Rhodians or Cretans focusing fire on them. But again, that takes a lot of ammo. To kill these guys, ammo that you won't have when you're finished to take on his elephants. Or if you're having to focus on them, it gives his elephants the opportunity to move in. So my opponent kind of starts some probing of my troops here. And honestly, when the battle started, it's so funny because literally the counter was timing down to get us into the battle. And I was looking at my army and it's like, ah, crap. And it's like, I brought two skirmish horse and 2 javelin men in case he brought elephants, but I hadn't really seriously considered the threat of elephants. So the whole time when the counter was counting down, I was like, oh, please no elephants. Please no elephants. Please no elephants. His army materializes on the other side of the field, and I see the elephants. And I was like, piece of crap. And then when I saw he had 6 cavalry units, then I was like, double crap. And you might be saying, well, Air, why is that? I mean, why are you so worried about that? The problem is I need my skirmishers, or my missile cav, to kill his elephants. My opponent, though, outnumbers me in cavalry and matches me, even if he only had 4 cavalry. If 2 were Campanian and 2 were Carthaginian cav, he would outmatch me. But he's got extra cav beyond that, so essentially what he could do if he wants is fix my cav and then swing his last one around, get my skirmishers. While he's chasing my skirmishers, that's when the elephants come in, wreck all the swords. So my opponent has better tools here, just straight up, and my only hope is to just play the best I can defensively and hope that he makes some massive mistakes. So I'm going to try and force him forward. I have the ranged advantage, and he's not moving forward, and he probably shouldn't, because he can wait for me to move and get out of position. but I'm going to start unleashing Balearic Slinger Fire. I brought Balearic Slingers, really should have brought Cretan Archers. Cretan Archers would have been much more of a threat to these African War Elephants. So a huge mistake on my part. I brought the Slingers because they have more ammo, and they have pretty good attack. But it was just a mistake. I mean, knowing that Carthage can field elephants, it should have been Cretan Archers. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I can destroy his pikemen with my ranged units, and his pikemen are just kind of a way for me to force an engagement, which I don't necessarily want, but I don't necessarily want to just be completely defensive. And see here how he can keep my skirmish cav away from his elephants? This is a huge problem. He's got my skirmish cav boxed out, which means his elephants are free to come face my swordsmen, which means I have very little chance of stopping them before they can do massive damage to me, because I need those skirmish cav and these javelins in order to take them out, and it's still going to take a volley or two to kill them. I don't want to run them amok, because then they'll just run amok all over my own men. You can see from a pike standpoint, though, I'm able to badly damage his African pikemen. These guys are just going to get picked to pieces by slinger fire, elite slinger fire. The cheaper ones would take longer. But notice how he's pushing on my flank, and look, already gaps here, so he could exploit that. I'm going to have to keep an eye on this unit, which means that he's going to have 2 spear units coming at me, and then again he'll be able to swing a cav around the back of me. Here I can intercept, and I'm going to try and pin him down with my general, but he can just simply again outmaneuver my general into the skirmishers, and as soon as he gets the skirmishers, it's game over. My Samnite warriors can hold out against any of his infantry. It's really not a problem. Now head on with these pikes, they would eventually die, but they're not going to take losses real quick, so I just leave them there for the time being, just to kind of help keep his infantry pinned. I do pull one off. I'm going to try and pull it back here and keep his cavalry out, but again, look, here's the hole my opponent's looking for with his elephants, and he'll find it too. And again, look, here comes these units, going to screen me out. So see, he's got me screened out right here. And then here comes the elephants straight into my cav units, and as soon as my cav's gone too, then I have even further no way to protect. But see how quick this is? The scare effect. Scare effect from units is massive. My men are now getting outflanked, and they're also having the scare effect from elephants. The citizen cav routes with 3/4 of its men left, and now my javelin men are caught. So this is game over. And again here, look at this excellent right through the gap and into my skirmishers. Opponent just doing a great job here of just absolutely picking me apart. So there was really not a whole lot of micromanagement that could save me here, because my opponent just had the right tools. He had more infantry, he had more cavalry, he could take advantage of the holes, while just keeping me honest in the front with his pikes. He doesn't have to be aggressive with them. Again, it just keeps my troops honest and prevents one of my cav units from sliding through and getting to his skirmishers. My horsemen, skirmish horsemen, got held up and killed, and at this point it's really just get as many kills as I can before his elephants murder my men one by one. There's nothing I can do about it. See, he's going to bypass my Thorax Hoplites and Square. He probably could have killed them, but he's going to bypass them. No need to go to that fight yet. He can just get his troops free one by one. These mercenary, or these Libyan Peltists could absolutely trash the Square, so I'm going to have to take my men out of Square, run towards them, try and pin them down. I actually do catch one of his units. But yeah, this means that these guys are now wide open to rear charge. So again, I was really impressed with the army my opponent shows here, because it is a good army. It's got a lot of tools. It's infantry weak, but it's cavalry strong. And he has a lot of infantry killing power because of his elephants. But yeah, see how these guys now have to engage another infantry unit, wide open for a hammer and anvil blow. So even if I wanted to flank them, they're still going to be open to a rear blow. So not a whole lot I could do. I was trying to get his pikes while they were out of formation, but no hope. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of javelins. Absolutely devastating. So my general's just going to eat copious amounts of javelins. Again, it's been game over since the battle started, to be honest. It was going to take a massive mistake on the part of my opponent with his elephants, and even then it would have been difficult because of the superior numbers of cavalry he had. It was going to be hard for me to get enough kills with my skirmishers to justify them. But again, opponent did a really good job of getting into my units and creating the gaps, and just gets a straight-up decisive victory here. So this is a good example of how, when choosing your army, you kind of have to consider things. There was multiple times during the army selection screen where I was like, you know, I don't know about this. Taking all these swords is kind of risky because he has elephants. And I talked myself out of it thinking, yeah, you know, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But sometimes you forget just how strong elephants are. And until, I mean, you get to thinking about it for a minute. Look at that, 350 kills. He didn't even need the rest of his units to do anything because those elephants wrapped up all of my Sam Knight warriors. And again, the Sam Knight warriors are good units. I mean, where they got to engage his infantry for an extended period of time, they kicked the crap out of them. But it's only a matter of time until the elephants come around and just mop them up. One of his Carthaginian cav here, look all the kills it got against whatever it was fighting. Impressive. His mercenary Campanian cav didn't even really have to do much here. It was the elephants. Javelins, a couple of them got a decent number of kills, but again, these kills are really not even that important. It was his elephants that did the work. It got the scare into my men. And again, pretty quick for my Balearic slingers to kill a fair number of pikes, but his pikes were never the threat in his army. It was a way for me to force him forward. And you might be like, well, Air, why in the world would you want to force him forward? I don't know. He's going to come eventually, and I'm going to end up in the same predicament. Whether or not it was a good decision is just hindsight now. So I couldn't tell you whether or not it was the right decision to make. Clearly didn't win this way, but to do it the other way, I'm not sure I would have won either. But yeah, it was really an impressive battle from the side of my opponent. Really impressive. Well done. Well-chosen army, and well executed with the plan. Good job on taking control of those gaps. I hope you all were watching those gaps that he was working through. It was an excellent object lesson on how to make your game better online. He had the tools to create those gaps, and then he immediately capitalized on those gaps. And you'd be surprised how long or how far the elephant scare combined with outflanking goes to making your men rout. Fear effect is huge on Rome 2. It's huge. And the fear effect from the elephants combined with the morale debuff from being outflanked is just a knockout punch. So it does a great job. But yeah, great game to my opponent. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Air better learn his lessons here, huh? Signing off for now, and I will see you soon.